Hey everyone, welcome to December office hours. I'm sitting here with Mike. I'm Emma, if we haven't met yet. We're excited to dive into some discussions and conversations around what we can help you with in the Microsoft 365 world or beyond at your organization. If this is your first time here, this is something we do once a month, the first Wednesday of every month. And it's really just a time we take out of our work week to talk through what's going on at your organization. We've been doing it for quite a while now, a few years, and we've just found it starts really fruitful conversations. So we're excited to have you here. Some of you may already have questions. Looks like you're writing in where you're joining from, someone from California. So we're excited to hear from you. Drop your questions in the chat. If you're joining on YouTube, you can also put them in the chat comment section. And we'll just take them as they come.
So I'll also add to that.
Yeah.
No questions are off limits. We like the tech questions, but we also equally like the strategic questions. So if you're trying to figure out how you should be thinking about using tools like Microsoft 365, the Power Platform in your organization or for your organization, we're all about helping you put those things in the right context and thinking about them with the right mindset. So
that's strategy.
Welcome those questions.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a little housekeeping tip on YouTube versus Teams. If you register for office hours, you can actually join through the Teams meeting, which allows you to come off mute and have discussions with us. So if you're on the YouTube stream and you hear us actually talking to different people, that's what's going on there. Unfortunately, we don't have that capability in YouTube. So if you want to get on Teams the next time, definitely register. And there's a link on our website, but we can also drop it in the chat at the end of this too. All right, let's see if we've got any questions. All right, one's coming through.
Oh, I like this one. Should I be using a production environment? This is from Eric.
Yep.
Should I be using a production environment for my solutions that are public? Should it be managed? Will it cost extra to connect to Dataverse? All right, so I guess my question is, what do you mean by solutions that are public? If you want to elaborate on that a little bit, that would be great. I'm making some assumptions that maybe you have a Power Pages application that you're allowing anonymous access to or something like that. But if you want to clarify that, that would be helpful. Generally speaking, I would tell you, let's see, company public only. Okay, so it's an environment that you're building apps in that you're letting other users have access to, and they're apps that are used in the function of your business or the operation of your business. That should be a production environment. So you may be talking about production versus like trial environment or dev environment, like a developer environment. You should definitely be using a production environment. I would, if they're business critical things, like if they're not personal in nature, not personal automation or personal apps, you should definitely be carving that out in something other than the default environment. It should be, oftentimes you should be planning for an application lifecycle. So think about things in terms of a dev environment, a test environment, and a production environment, so that you can go develop things in the development environment that then get deployed to the test environment where, let's say, the product owner or the quality assurance team looks at it, makes sure that it's all good, and then from there it gets deployed to the production environment where it can't actually get tweaked and touched, and that protects your end users from experiencing negative impacts of what we would call cowboy coding.
And Eric, I did unmute you if you wanted to give any more context or have any follow-up questions, if you want to come off mute and chat with Mike.
I think that makes sense. And to follow up with that cowboy coding, because that's, I'm ready to do that.
We're asking for, hang on, Eric.
We can kind of hear you, Eric, but
if you could ask that question again, that'd be good.
All right. Am I good now?
Yes,
that's better. Yep.
Okay. So if I do, I find that even if I get to that managed solution, that final production and your description was exactly correct. It's not personal. It's all, everything I do is for other people within the work environment.
Okay.
But I find that I want to always do little tweaks. I like to move pixels around and add features. So I do that a lot. And so if I turn around and, make it a managed feature, I can't, or a managed app or solution.
Yes.
I can't go in and I can't make simple changes to that. Is that correct?
So it depends on you'll have to determine what is important to your organization and your process. So it is correct. If you deploy a managed solution in that production environment, you can't tweak things. You can, I'll tell you, like there is a way around everything. If you have, let's say, for simple discussion, you have sysadmin permissions to that production environment, you have the ability to go into any of the things that you've deployed in that environment outside the context of the solution. So let's say there's a table or maybe a flow, Power Automate flow. If you go access that flow directly, you can actually make a change to that flow that will create what's called an unmanaged layer in the production environment, okay? And so you can actually technically make tweaks to a production environment. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. And the thing that's important for you to know is that if you are managing a application lifecycle, and so you have dev, test, prod, the next time you come along and make a change to that flow, and you actually deploy from dev to test and then to production, your changes to that flow that you've made that you're hoping to now deploy will not take effect because the unmanaged layer will trump the managed layer. So that's just something to be aware of. When you say, I like to push pixels and change things often and have that flexibility and that freedom, one of the things that you can do to manage around that challenge of having a managed layer is to split your solution into different parts and pieces and smaller parts and pieces so that you can then tweak a small portion of the solution and just deploy that through through pipelines or even manually through export and import into the other environments as a way to stop yourself from having to like redeploy the whole solution when you want to make just a minor change. But the thing to know about, if you're going down the road that says, well, I don't want to manage solution in a production environment because I want to be able to tweak things when I want to tweak things. If you've, inadvertently or even on purpose granted maker permissions in that production environment, those other users are going to be able to make changes too, and that may not be cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
Answers a lot.
Awesome. Strong question to start us off.
Yeah, that was a really good question.
Yeah, love it. Thank you, Eric. Just posted in both the YouTube and Teams, but drop your questions in either of those chats. Hey, Tanya, good to see you again. Welcome to Office Hours. Let us know if you have any burning topics or questions. Man, I wish I could talk more about what I know is coming out of the Loop pipeline, but I can't because I'm under NDA and all that.
Sworn to
but
secrecy?
Yeah, I went to a Loop learning session this morning, but super excited about the Loop app and just all the components and everything that Loop's doing within the Microsoft space.
We like
it's going to
Loop
be
a lot.
good.
Like we've over the course of the last few months, we've transitioned from a variety of other tools into like Loop as a primary tool for documentation and even task lists and other things like that for a lot of what we do.
It's kind of become like the workspace hub is sort of how I think about it, where, I set up all of our projects and that kind of thing. And it almost feels like I can't do anything on a project until I've got the Loop workspace set up at this point. Because that's really where you're going to talk to everyone about what's going on in that project or that work stream.
I was actually working with a member of our community last week, I think. I was just on a 30-minute session helping with a Power Automate question, and she had her documentation still in OneNote, and it was painful for her in trying to find what she was looking for and have because it was organized as best as it could be, and the formatting is what it is, and it was such an interesting flashback for me.
I think that would be like a work nightmare to wake up from if all of a sudden Loop didn't exist and we had to go back to using OneNote. That would be like my worst nightmare. It would just feel so clunky now that
Loop is
Loop
is an elegant tool. It's becoming integrated with more tools, and
right.
There's a lot of stuff that you can do with it for sure.
And it's officially in public preview or even out of preview mode in some ways, and anyone can download it and start using it. Looks like we have a few other people joining. Welcome to Office Hours. Feel free to put questions in the chat. Otherwise, Mike and I are going to just talk about our favorite topics, which we'll come up with.
I just mentioned our community, so I'll go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, please do.
Via Workplace. If this is the cut, if you get value out of this session and asking these questions and getting answers here and connecting with us, check out the community. It's a paid community, but you can have access to us, almost 24/7. People can post questions there, and there's a number of other folks who are participating there, and all kinds of other benefits of joining that community. But this is the type of thing we like to foster, the type of communication, the type of topics, right? The discussions that we like to have there, and it gives us a place to. For me, it's an alternative place to posting things either in a blog or on YouTube, right? That I think are just like little tips or something like that. Maybe they should be, some smaller format. I've been posting stuff there, and other team members have been as well. So yeah, just a quick plug for that if you're interested in more of this type of help.
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's called The Workplace, and it's a community of just other leaders who are trying to streamline and optimize the technology at their organization. And like Mike said, you have access to ask us questions, but we actually learn a lot from each other as well. A lot of different people learning from how others are doing it at their organization. So kind of fun and a newer thing for us, but we're enjoying it. We just did that Microsoft Digest, which for any of you who are admin, what would you call that? Like a sysadmin,
tenant
admin.
You have some oversight. Yeah,
you may have access to and read or skim often all of the different changes and updates that come out all the time, and it can be a lot to digest and actually take in. Yeah. So we went through, and by we, Matt Dressel did a lot of the work to go through, and that's something that we posted on our community. So it really is there to help do some of that upfront work for you so that you can then just skim and see, well, what actually matters to me.
Yeah, for each thing, we try to frame it in context of who should be interested in this and what level of impact and what simple steps should you plan to deal with that particular change coming or that new feature coming from Microsoft 365.
Yeah. Livy's throwing us a question. I like this one. I'll take this one. What's the biggest difference between OneNote and Loop? Man, where to begin? I think on like the very first level, Loop is just so much more powerful as far as the collaboration than OneNote. It just allows you to create pages within pages in an easy collaborative environment. Think when you first discovered Google Docs and the power of being able to collaborate together like times 10. Although you can kind of do some of that in OneNote, it never felt as easy and as simple as it does in Loop. It's really the interface, I think, that makes it stand apart. The formatting and the simplicity of just being able to see others working on it at the same time as you.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest frustrations always with OneNote was you almost had to be specific about how you laid out your content, just text content on the page, and you would create these like blocks of text, and they could be all over the place.
Right.
And or if you tried to be standard, maybe you could have one block of text that went straight down. You frankly don't have those options in Loop. It's like, hey, this is just going to be natural. Just start typing, and it just flows naturally vertically. Yes. And so you don't have like these blocks of content all over the place.
Right.
That can be a little bit kind of confusing to deal with.
And then even with the nesting of pages and different things, I always felt like in OneNote, you had to try to remember where you structured different pages and where they fell so that you could open things on the left and, the left side. And if you forgot and you couldn't find, well, they said they put those notes in there, but I can't see them. Loop, again, takes care of that by making it so the left navigation bar is just so much more simple. It's more intuitive, and I haven't had that issue yet where, well, you said you put it in here and I can't find it anywhere. It's like you can pretty much always find everything you need on the left navigation side.
Another difference with OneNote is you could always take a OneNote file and download it locally and have a copy of it and work with it there. The location of OneNote files was always something that actually mattered. Like, was it in a team? Was it in SharePoint? Was it
because of access issues?
Right. That's just how it was. In the case of Loop, it's like one place you go look, in any loops that your workspaces that you're connected to or have access to show up in your list of workspaces, and you can search for them. And it doesn't matter if they're in the context of a team or what they are, because anything in any Loop component can be actually brought into any of the other tools like Teams or Outlook. So it's much easier that way.
This could be a personal issue, but I never opened OneNote on my mobile device ever. Yeah. And I've loved the Loop mobile experience so far. So just having a mobile-friendly app, again, just kind of helps you have that work-life balance because you're able to, maybe you're running into a meeting and you need to just check something quickly on your phone and you don't have your full computer set up. It just makes life easier when things are mobile friendly. And I think Microsoft's really listening to that. And when they come out with new things, they're really trying to keep mobile top of mind. And through these different meetings and things we've had, it does sound like it's a priority to them. So yeah, those would be that's my hot take on Loop versus OneNote.
This overall shift from Microsoft has been, there used to be a focus on the tools and the technology and the architecture, and now there's a much more higher level of focus on the end user, and that's evident, right? Like,
yeah, and I think you really feel it.
Yeah, we're starting to see it.
And when you're trying to teach others to use the tools, I love the focus on the end user because it then makes your job a little easier to explain it.
Well, I feel like we've done our Microsoft plug
Clearly.
for this office hours.
Oh, it's classic. Yeah.
All right, if you have a question, feel free to post it. We're eager to answer any questions you have, be they technical or strategic.
Yeah. I know. I was going to look back at where we left off last office hours to see if I had any other topics we wanted to dive into deeper. I'm trying to remember what we talked about then. Let me look. Oh, last time we had asked people to write in a few words that they associate with Bulb Digital, which was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
We can do that again. If anyone's got any words that you associate with Bulb Digital or ideas that you associate with us and how we work.
Yeah, whether or not you've been connected with us for a while or a short time, we're interested to hear what you think.
What our outside perception is. We're getting ready to do all of our, well, not even getting ready. You guys have been having marketing 2024 meetings as well as just strategy 2024 sessions. So it's always helpful for us to get some feedback.
Yeah. If we can be nicer in the new year, we want to know.
That's always a good goal to have, I think. Oh, man. And we'd love to hear what you all are working on. You know, what are your 2024 goals or any
if you have interesting projects that you're working on.
Or challenges that came up in 2023 where you're trying to solve those. What were our challenges in 2023? Do we want to be vulnerable today, Mike, and share? Okay, Erica's got a question. Here we go. Have you done an embedded Canvas app into a model-driven app? If so, do you know how to make it smaller?
Nice. So I'm trying to think. I have an example that I would show you, but it's for a customer that I've worked on recently. You can embed a Canvas app in a few different ways inside your model-driven app. You can have it be a dedicated page, so it can be an actual page that's just a Canvas app. You can embed a Canvas app also inside of a model-driven form. That's another way. And then you can also use a Canvas app as a custom control and bind it to a specific field on a form in a model-driven app. In the scenario I think that you're talking about, you're probably trying to figure out how to embed it as a component of a model-driven form, would be my guess, because that is where there are some challenges. And one of the things that people often deal with, and I think I posted a tip in our community on this that documented it well, but basically there is when you connect the model-driven app or embed the Canvas app in the model-driven form, it's going to have some configuration on it, some properties that you need to specify for the Canvas app itself. It's like an app ID, and maybe there's an app name or something in there. And I think it's a little bit misleading because I think the property that matters, if I'm remembering correctly, is like the app name. And so you'll be inclined to put in the actual name of the application, but what you're actually supposed to put in is the identifier of the application. So in any, I can share my screen and show something here. If you're trying to figure out what the app ID is, if you actually go to the application itself and go to the details, you'll see that there's an app ID here. And I'm pretty sure that the answer is if you put this in as your property, it's going to find the right app. And the reason that that's important is if you don't do that, it will still embed your Canvas app, but it won't honor any of the display size settings that you have in the Canvas app. It'll just try to use it in whatever space that it's in. Whereas if you actually use the correct app ID in there. It figures out how to go find your Canvas app, and it honors the size of your Canvas app. So if you set it to, let's say, portrait, 800 by 1200 or something like that, it'll honor that as opposed to just trying to fill the space with it. I think I was going to say Michaela, I think, is out there, and she may be paying attention. She could remind me because she's worked on this stuff too. And so she can verify if that's correct. And I can go back and look at the community and see as well.
We need to have a phone a friend option.
Phone a friend, yeah. I know it's been a few weeks since I posted that. I'm actually going to go.
No, that's true. Yeah, that Michaela has been working on that for that same client. While you're doing that, I want to organize our other questions here. Let's see. I'm seeing one from Aaron from YouTube. How do you determine if a project would be a good candidate for a Power Platform solution or not? And basically, I like that you're just getting right to the point. When do you tell people, no, this project is too advanced for Power Platform solution? No project is too advanced for no, I'm kidding. I feel like that's Mike's answer.
Hey, I love the Power Platform.
I know you do.
I especially love model-driven apps.
I know.
And how fast you can build stuff with them.
Yeah.
So let's see where.
Okay, so Aaron, we're going to get to that question in 1 minute. It looks like Michaela is responding on the Canvas app. Embedding a Canvas app, the app name column also needs to be the logical name of the app, not the display name.
The logical name of the app. So if you want to share my screen again, Benjamin, I'll show that post that I have in the community. So in those settings specifically, you're looking for this logical name of the application. So in this case, it's like bulb reported event history, and then it's got this extra little GUID on the end of it. And that's the thing that actually allows you. The benefit of using it that way is that allows you to go from dev to test to prod, and it still knows which Canvas app it is. So that logical name is actually going to be, let me jump back over here, identified, where is it? It's not there. Let me jump back out to apps. It's in settings, although it might be in settings. Michaela, phone a friend. Where is the logical name located? Where do you find that at?
Michaela's on YouTube, so it's a little delayed, I think, when she sees the different things. Also, we are getting a message here from Xavier that Teams isn't letting him post in chat. So I don't know if we need to
while we're waiting for
change
Michaela, my phone a friend to arrive. Let's go to the next question.
Oh, here. She says the logical name can be found in the solutions view.
Solutions view, yes. All right, so if I jump back out to a solution and I look at one of these, it should be, let's see if it's on the settings here. No, it's not on the settings. Where is that guy at? It's this name right here. This is the logical name, this intro to model-driven apps for this app. So that's what you're going to use to plug into that particular field, and then it'll honor your size. All right.
Okay. Next question. We'll go to Aaron's. How do you determine if a project would be a good candidate for a Power Platform solution or not? And when do you tell people, no, this project is too advanced for a Power Platform solution?
This is a good question because we have a lot of content or some content out there. How to decide whether or not to do custom app dev or buy something off the shelf. I think we have a whole podcast dedicated to this. So I'd encourage you to go check that out for sure. It'll give you a much broader answer than what I'm about to give. But basically, some of the things that you'll want to consider are things like overall cost of ownership. So whether or not, how your organization is set up. Do you have people who are capable of developing things in the Power Platform? Do you have to hire it out? Is there a solution off the shelf that you could go buy that does 80% of what you need it to do, and that would be good enough because it's generally cheaper, would be another thing to consider. Whether or not you have, what type of expertise you have in-house. Maybe you have custom dev folks in-house and it's easier to do things that way. Maybe you're tacking it onto an existing solution. There are a lot of different things there. Some other things to think about, the Power Platform being no-code, low-code, there are trade-offs in performance and in customization. So while you can do a lot of customized things inside of the Power Platform, it's not intended to be, a highly customizable thing as its first objective. So that's one of the trade-offs that you're going to make. So if you have like some super cutting edge UI that you need to implement, I might tell you to look at something outside of the Power Platform, first. And likewise, if you have an application that requires, let's say, millisecond level transactional guaranteed things to happen, the Power Platform is not going to be that thing for you. So think of a stock trading app, for example. Like when they click that button, it's got to happen right now, or it's a real problem. I would certainly not do something like that in the Power Platform. But if you're, if it's business data connected to stuff that's already in Microsoft 365 and other places, if all of your users have licenses at some level for the Power Platform, be it maybe just the basic license or per app or per user licenses, like if you've got licensing paid for, that can be a good reason to investigate and look that way. If you're overall like looking to like prototype something quickly and figure out, and so you can put it in front of a user, maybe a leader, to determine like, does this make sense to you? Is this the thing you were thinking about? Even if you don't build the final solution with the Power Platform can be a great prototyping tool because you can actually build something that's clickable and usable in very short time frames to be able to get approval or get somebody to look at it and say, yeah, this is a great direction. Now let's go build it. So there are a lot of different things, and most, if not all of those things, I think are talked about in that podcast. So I would point you at
I'm
that.
trying to find which podcast that was because I wanted to post that. We have quite a few kind of around that topic. Is it low code in the workplace, or we can find it and follow it up
I would know
too.
it if I saw the title. That was one.
I know. Building low code apps with the user in mind. That sounds interesting.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Some of you, if you've seen my video with Josh, our resident designer, he helped me wrap my mind around what I should be thinking about from an end user standpoint when we're building apps in the Power Platform. It was really, really helpful.
I know. Or get your organization to buy into the Power Platform. That's another good one.
I don't know. We always put title.
We'll find the one that Mike is thinking about.
We never put plainly obvious titles on these things.
Yeah, and get it over to Aaron. Okay, on to Xavier's question. Are we good there? Cool.
I'm good.
Teams isn't letting me chat. Okay, so you jumped over to YouTube. One of our projects for 2024 is all about updating our intranet with cleaner themes, better file organization, and improved permissions, security, etc. Is there a way to make changes to multiple page designs at once or publish multiple pages at once as a relaunch, etc.? What are your best practices? Okay. Not that I know of that you could change the design of multiple pages at once. You can make templates, and that is a super helpful tool for rebuilding.
Yeah, so you can have site templates, and so then to the extent that you have a site template and you redeployed a template, I don't know if I think you might have to reapply the template if you make changes to the template. But reapplying the template is something that you could do with, let's say, PowerShell if you're a SharePoint admin or tenant admin. And so then you can, in theory, update the template and then apply it across the board to make that change. That could include the referencing a particular theme. So the theme is the thing that's going to like set your logo and your primary color, your secondary color, and those types of things. And so then to the extent that you wanted to apply that theme across the board, you could apply the theme itself on any given site using PowerShell as a way to automatically do it. You could allow your site admins to go change it, or you could, I believe, apply that theme within the site template, and then it would come along with the template and any changes that would get applied through that way.
My answer is going to be kind of annoying because it's not going to be super tactical, but we just did a webinar all about taming the team's chaos, and I feel like intranets can become chaotic as well. So if you're going to tame the chaos of an intranet, which it kind of sounds like that's what you're after here, just cleaning it up, making it more organized. Before you just get into the huge tacticals of, okay, we just need cleaner themes, we need, just better organized pages, I would definitely encourage you to sit down to kind of consider why that is. Are people not sure where to find information? Kind of thinking through, okay, what is the direction we want to set on our intranet before relaunching everything? You may already have done this, but I think connecting, especially if you have a couple people collaborating on your intranet, setting the goal of why you need to clean things up so that no matter what happens, everyone's kind of marching towards that same goal. So that is kind of a more conceptual answer, but I think it's important when you're trying to, especially if you're going to take the time to redesign or relaunch a bunch of pages, making sure you're actually going to achieve the goal you're setting out to do before you spend all that time.
Yeah, the interesting thing, and maybe Xavier can follow up with some more information, but he mentioned kind of a relaunch or updating our intranet. It's not clear to me whether or not that means like what we have is going to stay and we're just trying to like make it better in place, or maybe you actually mean we're rebuilding from scratch. We're going to set up a new site collection. We're going to use hub sites. We're going to change our information architecture. We're going to have new navigation. We're going to rebuild all of the pages in the new site, and then we're going to like turn the old one off, right? That's another strategy. And that's a pretty easy strategy in terms of like if you want to relaunch everything at once, because you simply go build the new thing right alongside the old thing. And then you just don't give anybody permissions to it until launch
It's ready
day,
to launch,
right?
yeah.
And when you're ready to launch, then you let everyone in the organization have read permissions on all of the sites that you just created, and then you're good to go. Turn the old one off, maybe apply a redirect to it,
And that's actually how we do a lot of our client work with redesigns or relaunches, or if we haven't.
It is if they've
migrated.
if they've already got a SharePoint intranet, SharePoint based intranet. Many of the ones we deal with are still like they're migrating from a classic portal to a modern portal, modern communication sites, and so that's not something that you do in place. You have to like carve out a new site collection for it anyways, and the whole information architecture changes from hierarchical to flat with hubs, and so in that scenario, you're like, well, I'm building new sites no matter what. If you've already started with a modern communication site and you want to keep the URL and you don't like, then it's a little bit more of a challenge, but you can certainly create new pages, for example, and not publish them until you're ready to launch, and so that only admins would see the pages, et cetera.
But again, really encourage you to think through why did you end up having it turn into the chaos, let's say, of what it is currently? Is it a lack of direction as far as having templates, or, even at our company, there's only 11 of us. There's probably only like 3 of us that touch our intranet at any given time. We all approach it differently. And, you can be as clear as you want about how templates are supposed to be used, but everyone's going to have their own little flair on that. So I think setting the direction can kind of be almost one of the most important pieces of it versus just having the template.
Understanding the why.
Yeah, understanding the why,
so
exactly.
You know what to measure when you finish.
Yeah, but good luck with that project in 2024, and I hope that some of our resources could potentially help you with some of the intranet work.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Dressel chimed in with a good response too, which is take it incrementally as opposed to like trying to do it all at once. So to the extent that you could carve out smaller pieces of it and replace smaller pieces at a time, that'll help you get validation of your approach, right? If somebody likes what you're doing versus, tells you to go back to the drawing board, and stop you from doing a whole bunch of work that you'd have to redo.
Yeah, I'm going to pull over that knowledge over onto YouTube so people can see that too. Awesome. Great questions. I'm trying to see if we had anything else come in on. Oh, Mitch gets the gold star. He posted the podcast that we were looking for. Choosing the right technology for your business was the name. So check that out, Aaron. We posted that on the team side, but I'm going to pull it over on the YouTube side so that you can see that. Let me do that for you. And he posted iterative intranets, which is another helpful topic. All right.
That, it used to be easy to reference that content because the library was small.
And now we have so many podcasts, yeah.
Remember that one we did last week? Yeah, that's the one.
I know. Yeah, give us some microphones and a round table, and we'll go after a different.
I'm losing my voice a little bit, but yeah, we like to talk.
Okay, and then I'm going to copy over Matt's advice here as well. I think that's useful. Yeah, we were talking this morning about other topics that we would want to do webinars on, and it does feel like intranets could be a potential.
Intranets is a big one. Over the course of my career, I've seen many fail for a variety of reasons, and it's nice to see the tools that are available today, the modern tools, SharePoint in particular, and Teams to an extent being much easier to use, more intuitive for end users. So much frustration that I've seen in past projects related to SharePoint was it's just too hard to create the content, right? You had to go to SharePoint training to do it. And I don't know if the world has changed, such that like more people today are used to using modern tools, and so that therefore it's more intuitive. I think it's more so that the tools have gotten that much better. I've been around to see both. So
yeah, I think it's probably a combination, right? Of, if you even think through something, I feel like it's top of mind for me right now because it's holiday season, Christmas shopping, online shopping. It's, even that process of having accounts, having in your personal life, and then you're obviously bringing that, even if you don't work in tech at all, and you're bringing that into the workspace where you just understand how so much more of different websites and different interfaces and different, so you're better at then troubleshooting how you're going to edit something or
people are more fluent.
Exactly.
Tools,
so I think there's definitely probably a little bit of both happening. Okay, got a question from Tanya here. What matrix or method do you use to prioritize beyond urgent, important, etc. tasks, whether it be HR, development, or whatever topical category? That is a great question. How do we do that, Mike?
So what other categories do we apply to things besides urgent, important? That's interesting.
Well, categories or just like what matrix or method do you use to prioritize?
Yeah, often it depends on what it is, right? So, and like we have a customer that has their own way of thinking about the things that we work on, and has caused us to put those in, like they literally have buckets that make sense for them and not anybody else.
It is interesting though. I think on like a super high level, we have all of our projects, and then we have tasks for those projects within those projects. So you kind of have that as a matrix. And then we obviously have Bulb Digital tasks, which is just like our company. And so maybe the question here is a little bit, how do you, Tanya, if I could figure this out, I would bottle it up. Like, how do you prioritize all the tasks within different projects, and then also maybe HR tasks or other development tasks? I think that's what she's kind of asking here.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, like we're focused on a lot of not a lot of hands work, but a lot of work, like stuff that has to get done, that has to produce an outcome. And we think about things less in terms of urgency and importance, and more in terms of active or coming next on deck.
I don't know if we lost your audio. I'm not hearing you. Yeah. Your mic. Try plugging your mic back in. That's all right. Now I get to answer this. I have some thoughts on this. So we have a weekly meeting that we actually call traffic, and it sounds kind of different. I'm not sure where the term traffic came from, but during this meeting we use a tool called Forecast, and we forecast out all of our projects. And I feel like what really helps with Forecast is it allocates down to the hour, honestly, how much time each of us are going to spend on what priority or what task. And so then it allows us to really map out, okay, of all of our team and all of our manpower and hours, how are we going to allocate that and use it to the best of, our ability. So I think doing this on a weekly basis is half of the power, because you're always realigning to what is the top priority, what do we actually need to get done this week. So I think the consistency of coming together every 5 business days to reevaluate and realign, because things can change in one business day. So sometimes we even need to have, extra, we actually have stand-ups 3 times a week, and that can kind of help us realign as well. So, I can share my mic with you. Wouldn't you agree, though, that I think Forecast, yeah, Mike's agreeing with me. So I think Forecast really helps, and that is a tool that we pay for. It's called Forecast, and it's part of the Harvest suite of tools. So that'd be a tech tool outside of the Microsoft suite that I would definitely recommend. I love it. Tanya's responding here. The urgent box is overflowing. Not enough time. Urgent and important are not sufficient.
I need a microphone.
So then the deadlines, I'll give you mine. So then the deadlines and impact, how do you measure? I feel you on this. And let's hear from Mike.
All right. Just give you 1 minute. All right.
The suspense is building. Mitch is getting us a new mic here. No fun tools for me. I
This
hear you,
right?
Tanya.
All right.
Oh yeah, we're back.
All right. So
Yeah, you hit a nerve for sure. You hit a nerve.
I'm on the hard work team, and everything is always urgent, and I never say no. I say yes to everything. And so my list is huge and piles up. And what I've had to do, this is almost like a psychological thing. There's no real thing other than like discipline and like learning how to like find Zen in the middle of it all. But on any given day, there's 100 things you could do. 15 of those things are actually going to make an impact. And really, you only have time to do 5. And so you need to understand that you can pick 5 and it's okay. That's how I deal with so many urgent things. And so you just need to get good at picking the most important 5, the things that are going to make the most impact and are like somehow come to the top of that list. And that's ultimately the best that you can do. And then beyond that, if you're feeling crushed, you got to communicate to your leaders that you need help or whatever else, right? To be able to deal with that type of workload.
I think Matt Dressel really wishes that he was on office hours with us right
So he
now
can
because
answer
he's
that?
weighing in, which I love. Thanks, Matt. I think there are kind of 2 layers to this, though. It's obviously individual task management and kind of figuring out how you're going to set up your day. But it's also making sure from a leadership standpoint or from if you're leading the team that you're communicating well what the priorities should be. So we actually just had a meeting this morning. This is a good example within our team. I'm loving the capability within Loop to attach like labels or tags to things. And so we're starting to use that more when we're having even just simple conversations about what we want to do in 2024. Let's put a tag next to it, and then people can speak up in that moment to say, hey, why do you put a low priority tag next to that? I thought we actually had, 8 meetings coming up in the next 2 weeks on that. I don't think that's low, or that's not connecting with the way we have that scheduled out. I think adding visuals and colors, as silly as it sounds, to keep people aligned, it actually makes a powerful impact. And I was really glad that we did that this morning because it showed that we actually weren't aligned on the priority of different items. So visualizing and actually like writing down.
I was going to add to my statement about like for yourself, figuring out what's important. Pick the 5 things. Like one of the things that we do, which you talked about, was forecast weekly.
Yes.
Right. And that eliminates for me like 75 of the things that I have. Right. It's like, well, the rest of the team isn't aligned with me doing these 75, so I'm going to completely eliminate those from my list and just forget about them, right, and deal with them another week. So that's an important.
Yeah.
If you're doing it all on your own, like that can be daunting, and so communicate about that type of thing. Have a forecast meeting every week or a stand up where you can talk about those things and actually figure out, well, is this really that important? Is this more important than that thing?
Right.
Right. Have somebody else help you make that decision.
And so then Tanya's point here too is it's more the pressures, more my pressure than theirs or customer facing. But when we're thinking about client work here as well, another tip that we use, and this is a development term, but using story points and attaching sized items and then setting a capacity for your team of, we can get 12, let's say it's 12 story points in a week done, and let the customer then choose what 12 do they want us to work on. So that it's not always us doing all the prioritization, but if they want to switch that around, great, but they can't assign us a 21 point project. We need to break that down into smaller pieces. And this is just basic, development, agile type sizing and development, but using that wherever you can, again, just putting the size and the priority of things on a sheet of paper, not really, but on a screen, for whatever reason, it still has such a power. And I think using technology to communicate in that way allows alignment to happen a lot faster.
Absolutely. Like, to be honest, like we had something in the last 2 weeks where we had put story points on something. We said, I think it's a 3. And the client challenged us, no, I actually think it's a 1. Why do you think it's a 3? And so we had the conversation, and sure enough, it was a 1.
Right.
Right? Because we misinterpreted what they had asked.
And thankfully, we had the conversation before we went and did a lot of the work because, the way they had asked it was just a bit confusing. And so again, it helps create that alignment. And sometimes it's the other way where we think something's supposed to be really quick and they actually are surprised. I didn't know you could get that done for us in 2 days.
Like, wait, what?
Given that we were thinking, it was going to be this or that. So again, using the technology to bring kind of tags, colors, all of that, so that you actually can speak up and say, hang on a second, I don't agree that that's low priority or that that's medium. And then you can change it there real time. Do you put lunch on the tasks list as a priority? I didn't for a very long time, but I now have a block for lunch on my schedule, and it's really helped my life. That's an honest piece
Yeah,
of
I think
feedback.
from a personal standpoint, like Matt chimed in, and he's talking about from a forecast standpoint. As an organization, we don't forecast lunch.
Yeah. No.
We also don't have very rigid rules on like what your work hours are. Like honestly, if you show up to meetings and get the job done, I don't care when you work.
Yeah.
And so, that's different in many organizations. Like there are teams out there where the manager expects you to be in your seat from 8 o'clock to noon, and then from 1 o'clock to 5, right? Like, and some people that's okay. Like in our world, we kind of bristle at that a little bit. We don't like that. We like the flexibility, but that means we have to be willing to take the responsibility, get the stuff done so that people trust us so that we can have that flexibility. So
I do think blocking out so you don't always have meetings over lunch kind of gives you a second to breathe. Or if you guys do working lunches, you always kind of put that on the calendar, bring your lunch, and then you're kind of aware. First 10 minutes, everyone can go grab lunch first.
A characteristic of those of us who are on the hard work team is I'm going to grab lunch and work while I eat.
Classic, Mike.
Classic.
You heard it here first.
Yep.
Love it.
I don't know if I should be shamed.
I do feel like all of this, I love that you brought this up, Tanya, because I think on the one sense, it's like, well, task management, everyone's got to deal with it. But there are strategies around making it easier. And there are Microsoft tools that I think make it easier. Forecast is not a Microsoft tool. It's something we use outside. But we do use that in collaboration with task lists in Loop, or I know different
Planner.
people on our team have used To Do. We use Planner.
Yep.
All
Azure,
of these
Azure DevOps,
these tools, I think, and if you're like me, if you have it written down on a list somewhere, then you can kind of lose some of the stress about it because you'll get to it eventually because it's written down. That's another big piece of all of task management.
Yeah, a lot of that, like someone just posted that culture helps. And that's true, right? Especially if you're introducing a new tool, you got to get everybody to use it. If you're going to assign tasks to people, you would like them to actually complete the tasks so that you know that they're done, not just leave them, untouched. And so yeah, you all have to be aligned and on board with doing the thing that you're going to do and trusting that it's going to be better for you all in the future. And as you're on that journey, like don't start out with, an app's like trying to get to perfect. Start small and see how it works, and then adjust next week and the next week. And don't plan on ever being at the end of that journey. It's because it can always be better. And
I think that's one piece I found super interesting being in what this Microsoft Loop trial period is. It's one of the top things that this huge company of Microsoft is trying to solve. So it hasn't been solved yet perfectly, obviously. And, task management is something that all organizations struggle with. So it's super universal as well. And there's no one easy answer. Matt's also talking about DevOps. That's another tool we use.
Yep.
And that's a good point, Matt. We do create tasks for support. So we allocate hours in a way that just gives people a buffer so that they feel like they can actually go answer questions or answer emails or go on meetings. And they have time for that outside of just regular work.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Does Loop do the thing that OneNote does with searching tabs to create a list?
Searching tags to create a list. I'm not familiar with the thing that OneNote does.
I'm not sure I knew OneNote did that either.
I bet we're going to get an answer from Matt.
Yeah. Oh, it's not live. It's maybe just in preview on OneNote. And we've got potentially a question from Erica. Yeah, culture helps to prioritize, though. I think that is really true.
Yeah, he also pointed out that you got to assign the things in tool, and so you got to make sure that they're crafted well. So that all goes to there's discipline in following the rules around task management and completion, but then also there's a minimum standard that you want to create so that the tasks are articulated well enough for the owner to be able to execute.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just 3 words. that
Well,
nobody understands.
and that's one thing, I'm in like Scrum Master training and that sort of thing. You do want to kind of allow your team to create their tasks in a way so that they know exactly what they, if you only have one person just assigning tasks and giving no context, it actually helps if you have the team create their own tasks and then it's going to be assigned to them.
Absolutely. Well, and then just also note, stand-ups are good places where those details get ironed out. If you don't understand something, like you raise it in the stand-up, be like, hey, you gave me that task. I don't know what you're talking about. Your words don't make sense, right? And so you can hash that out.
Yep, and get the description. Oh, so she's saying the search doesn't update in OneNote, so I don't use it. It's a new page each time you create a list. I'm not sure what the word is for that, but Loop searches the entire workspace and other workspace. Like the search in Loop is incredible. I've been very happy with it.
It'll find anything across all the workspaces you have access to.
Yep. Okay, Erica's asking Mike a specific question. Do you have a video or blog about the different ways of adding Canvas apps to model-driven apps? I think you mentioned it.
Yeah, so there's the three ways. One is the Canvas app as a page inside of your model-driven app. The second one is embedding a Canvas app in a form inside your model-driven app. And then the third way is embedding a Canvas app as a control for a specific field, so bound to a field on your model-driven form. I don't think we have a blog post or a video that's like talks about all three of those ways today, but that would be certainly something that it makes sense to do. I think that would be beneficial. So we'll take that and put it on our list.
Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see. Oh man, I keep talking about Loop and how great it is, and it's not available in GCC. Sorry. It's not very nice of
Are you
me.
just trying to rub it in?
I know. I am so sorry. Okay, Erica's saying that would be awesome if we write those down. Yep. And Tanya's like story of my life. Love it. Let's see. Mike was talking about a post he made in our private community, so we don't have that in a public place. Yep. Yes, that's I think what you were sharing on your screen too.
Yep.
I'm just trying to look back here to see if I missed any of our questions.
We got through everything so far.
Okay.
I don't think we missed any.
Cool. Oh, Michaela's chiming in. It is on deck for me to write a blog on this topic, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Sharpen the pencil, Michaela. It's good. Nothing on YouTube, it looks like. So we'll give it another minute or two. If anyone else has other questions for Mike and I, feel free to post them. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap things up here in a minute.
Is anybody doing anything any interesting Christmas themed or holiday themed Power apps?
Like automations or something?
Anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anything.
Probably not me, but maybe Michaela has something up her
No,
sleeve.
I'm asking everybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is anybody doing anything fun like that?
Yeah.
I wonder.
And then we could copy it. It's a good question. Okay, here's another good question. Is there a way to create a field in model-driven apps that is specifically for time and goes in 15-minute intervals?
Sure. I think the answer would be probably a choice field. I've done this before with days of the week and hours of the day. So somebody wanted to define a scheduled start and stop for a recurring thing, a weekly thing. And so it was like, pick your day, Monday, what time, 6:30 a.m., pick your end day, Thursday, what time, 8 p.m. And so you could do, in theory, the same thing with, time in 15-minute increments is just a choice field.
She's saying, the problem with that is the choice field will be so long.
So it sounds like you're saying that the control being a drop-down choice field is just like this big, long thing. I think if you type in that control, it'll take you right to the result. Alternatively, you could make it a lookup, and in that case, you can type as your primary way to find the value that you want and get it that way. And then the third option would be a custom control, so a PCF that you could import into your environment that could be like a time picker. So There's one out there that we actually used recently that is all up to snuff in terms of like HTML standards, and is a better date time control, and has options like turn to use date, use time, use date and time, but it's all connected in those scenarios to a date time or a date field. And in this case, if you just wanted time, you would want to implement something like that, but it could be against that choice field, for example, and maybe the control would give you a clock that you could like pick your time of the day from.
This is interesting. Tanya's posting another potential solution, but creating like a time-based calendar in Power Apps.
So honestly, if I like, my recommendation would be go to the PCF gallery and do a search for time and see what's there first.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff out there that you'd be kind of surprised at how much is out there that like people have wanted to do exactly what you're talking about and they've implemented a solution.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh man, these have been exciting topics, obviously, that we're passionate about, and I loved how your microphone went out, and you were like, "Get me a mic so I can share what I want to share." So thank you, everyone, for the engaging topics and engaging questions. We'll be back here in January, the first Wednesday of January. I believe it's the 3rd. I haven't looked at my calendar. So we'll either be, that'll be right after your birthday, actually, yeah.
Oh, now everybody knows when my birthday is.
Oh, well, we'll celebrate it on the next the next office hours. So join us first week of January and bring your questions post holidays. Yeah, we're here to make others successful. So we enjoy doing this and hope to talk to you all soon.
Thanks, Michaela, for the PCF references.
I love it. Thanks, Tanya. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy late Thanksgiving to you as well. All right. Thanks, everyone. See ya. Bye.